Hello everyone, welcome back to Data Engineer YouTube channel. In this video, we will be talking about lookup activity in Azure Data Factory. So let's get started. Before getting started, practically, I just wanted to, make sure that you go through the documentation also because it provides, very useful insights. For example, you'll get to know what limitations are present for that particular activity. So if we talk about the lookup activity, let's talk about its limitation. You can go through the entire documentation once. So just see, the lookup activity can return up to 5,000 rows. And the second one is the lookup activity output supports up to 4 MB in size. So if it is more than 4 MB, it will fail. And the longest duration for lookup activity before timeout is 24 hours. So for example, if your lookup activity is taking more than 24 hours, it will automatically get failed, right? We'll talk about these points in a moment. Now let's understand basically what is lookup activity. In previous videos, we also saw what is metadata activity. So if we talk about metadata activity, it just tells it's the data about data, right? Like if I have a Parquet file in my blob storage at what's the timestamp when it was lastly updated and so on. So you can get to know the metadata of that particular thing, right? Now, if we talk about lookup activity, it reads the file and it can read the rows inside the file. So basically, if you have a Parquet file or a SQL database connected or any source, right? If you want to read the data inside it, you can use the lookup activity. So now the limitation is you can only read up to 5,000 rows. So if you have more than 5,000 records, so obviously it will take the top 5,000, not the all, right? So let me just show you. So see, here is the first limitation, right? Second is the output supports up to 4 MB. If the size of your output, which is a JSON output, is more than 4 MB, obviously it will get failed, right? Now let's see the practical part. Okay, so now I have a blob storage basically. Let me show you that. So the name of the storage is storage fin bi, and in this storage fin bi, I have a Parquet file which is fin bi data, right? I'm just taking a prerequisite. You can have anything. You can have an Excel file. You can take the source as your SQL, whatever you want. You can have as the source. I'm taking this Parquet file as the source. Now, if you don't know anything about Parquet file and what's blob storage, do check my previous videos. You will get to know about everything, right? Now, here I have a data factory whose name is FinBI Data Factory. This is the old data factory which I created while creation of this particular project. So I have just published a new project called GCP Azure Power BI. So it uses GCP, Azure and Power BI. So the project name is Project 3. You can check it out in the channel itself. Now let's move ahead. Let's see how lookup activity basically works. So what I will do is I will basically click on plus icon, I will click on pipelines and I will click on pipeline. Now this pipeline 2 is created. Now I will search for lookup activity. So as soon as I drop the lookup activity, so these are the settings which I will have. So these are the basic settings. So timeout, how much many times you want to set the timeout timer, retry if this lookup activity fails, how many times you want to retry this activity again, and retry interval after how many interval. Let's say one time it failed. Now after how many seconds it should again retry. So that's the retry interval in seconds and so on. So these are the basic settings. Now in the settings we need to give the data set. So my data set for that particular file was the Parquet one, so I'll select it. Now even I can preview the data. So when I click on preview data, obviously what will happen is it will read my Parquet file. So whatever data is present in my Parquet file, it will read the entire data. Now let's wait for it to read. Okay, so yeah, so just see, it read the first row only. Although my Parquet file have many rows, but it read the first row, right? So if I just close it and show you, because I have selected first row only, that's the reason I am only able to see the first row. If I turn it off, obviously you can see the entire rows. Now the question is what will be the output? So if I now execute it directly without using any loop or anything, so let's see what's the output. Okay, let's wait for it. So it's queued. Let's wait for it to, fully execute. Okay, perfect. It's executed. Now let me show you the output. Can you see the output? So what's the output? So if I show you the output, so the count is what? 5. That means my Parquet file had 5 records because I didn't selected the first row. That's the reason it showed me 5 rows. Now what are the values? So this is the first row. This is the first row, this is the second row, third row, and so on, right? So data is present in the form of JSON file. Now, you can read the data and you can use it anywhere. Now, let me show you the practical scenarios where it is used. So what happens is sometimes you have a table where you tell the path of the, files which you need to copy. So what you can do is you can have a lookup activity pointing to that table which have the path of all the files. So let me make it a bit easier. Let me just show you with the help of Excel. Okay. So let me just open my Excel or Sheets. It's loading. Okay. So let's say I have a table. Okay. So yeah, I have a table who have an ID and then a path. Okay. So path of maybe blob storage. Okay. So ID is 1, ID is 2, ID is 3, and the path is, let's say I have a blob storage. Basically, let's say FinBI. So I'll say FinBI slash, let's say, A. File name is A, and then I have one file FinBI slash B, and again I have a file FinBI/C. So this is my table name. So what lookup activity will do? It will read this table. Okay. So now once the lookup activity has read this table, what I will do is I will recursively, have these paths, and then I will have a copy activity to copy the data from this particular path to some other path. So this is one of the practical scenario. How we can do is basically after lookup what we need is we need a for each activity. So after using for each, so if I just have a for each activity, okay, it's giving me some tips. Okay, so now if I connect it with the for each activity, now if I click on this for each, so here there is something called settings, and here I can have the property items. Okay, so just see lookup one activity output. Okay, and I want it sequential, one by one, read and copy, and so on. So inside that I can have a copy activity which will basically, copy the data from one path to another. This is one of the practical scenario. So I hope you got to know, like, just see, this is the output. You can use this output in any format, basically any way, whatever use case you have, you can use it. So basically, if I show you the old output, so this is the output of the lookup activity, like all the data only first 5,000 rows. Just remember that. Otherwise, if you want the top first row, you can just click on first row only. Make sure based on your use case you select this. The reason being, if you select first row only, it will be more optimized as if you are reading the entire file, right? So based on your practical scenarios, you can use the lookup activity. I hope you got to know about what is lookup activity, what's the difference between metadata and lookup activity. Thank you. We'll see you in some other video. Bye.